One man. Goodbye. Hello, Heisman.
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. All the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone.
Four-man Alabama rush. Got him. No, they didn't. Oh, my gracious.
Yep.
How about that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Three Technique, the college football podcast at the intersection of the X's and O's and the Jimmies and the Joes. It's game week, week 0. College football is back on our TVs. And to set the table for today's episode for your hopefully weekend where you're doing some things, maybe getting ready for week 1, but certainly carving out some time to get familiar with the old sofa. Watch some college football back on the TV. Jake from the OnRedshirts. Jake, good to have you on the show. It's time, man. It's Christmas Day for college football fans, and we've earned this. It's been a long, hard offseason.
Hey, I put out on Twitter that, hey, the weekend before is a great weekend for an impromptu date night. Date night. Buy you a couple weeks of just going out and watching football. Like, hey, honey, why don't we go out for the steak dinner? Why don't we go out here? Buy you a couple weeks until she hits you up again and be like, so it's been 5 weeks since we've gone out. So
yeah, exactly. Get the things done. Make sure you knock off the honey-do list as early as you possibly can. I'll say this though, like, you know, for the folks out there that subscribe to the idea that college football doesn't start until week 1, and there are some prominent ones, week 1 slate this year is kind of stinky. So I feel like week 0 is going to scratch the competitive itch. For some people, just as good as week 0 or week 1 is. I'm sorry. You know, obviously your favorite team being back in action and waxing directional state is going to be great. But I don't know. It doesn't have the same pop that it did last year when like week 1 was legendary last year.
Yeah. Well, week 1 last year, we had some great ones. I think there are some underrated matchups here. Like one that keeps that isn't talked about enough is Boise and Oregon in week 1. But that one,
Absolutely.
I think, isn't getting enough love. Oregon right now is a 24.5-point favorite, but Boise State's talked about as a possible college football playoff team. So, and fun fact, Oregon has only ever beat Boise once. Boise owns the all-time record 3-1. And
amazing.
Oregon has only beat Boise one time, and it was recently with Ashton Genty, and Boise almost won that game. So I think that is actually going to be a low-key competitive game. I don't think that spread's truly indicative for what that game's going to look like.
I agree. It's a tough one to get things going. Oregon, I think, is my team of destiny this year. We'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, not the most comfortable way to start your season. There's no doubt about that. On today's show, Jake, we are going to be talking through our playoff seeds and predictions. We're going to talk a couple storylines that we're really excited about for this college football season. And then finally get into some week 0 action as we do have college football back on our TV, TCU and UNC over in Ireland. UVA, NC State, supposed to be in Brazil. Thank goodness for everybody involved that it's stateside. And then Memphis UNLV capping out next Saturday night. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. Spoiler alert, between two teams that we have in the playoff running. We'll get to all of that in just a minute. But Jake, I think a lot of the conversation around these contenders is going to flow pretty naturally as we talk about our 12 playoff team predictions. It was tough this year. And we talk about this every season. I think the parity allows more teams to load up in the modern era of college football. That's certainly one of the perks of the transfer portal and NIL is, hey, it feels like, the champion can come from certainly a much larger swath of teams. Now, statistically, I think it would probably say between 7 and 8 teams are actually able to win the championship every year. But that feels a little bit more competitive, doesn't it, than, I don't know, the NFL, the MLB, the NBA, where, I don't know, you can kind of count on one hand, okay, these are the actual championship teams.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I guess last year, the NFL, nobody really thought the Seahawks were going to win it all, and then sure enough, they did. But I agree that in college football, think about 3 years ago, nobody would have thought Indiana would make the playoff, let alone win it all. That's a perfect example that you just need to hit the right perfect storm, right coach, right, players, right organization, right college that just has the motivation to do it. Like, I know that we have our 12. I think there are justification for a handful of other teams that can absolutely make it. But I also think there's some fringe teams that we can look at and say, like, hey, they might be able to make it, but like, could they really win it all? Like, you might be able to make it, but like, are you actually good enough to win this whole thing? Like, I know people like to put them in tiers. I think there's like one tier with like 7 to 8 teams that you can say, like, yep, if they win it all, I wouldn't be shocked. And then I think there's another tier where you get about 10 to 12 schools where you go, I could see them making it. If they made a run, that would be like maybe to the semifinals, but like they're not going to make a run to the championship or win it all.
Sure. Yeah, I think I agree with you, certainly in principle there. I think without further ado, no need to bury the lead here. I'd love to get right into the 12 teams, and we can talk about the individual teams here. I'm not necessarily looking for game by game breakdowns, but run us through your field. Start at number 12 and work all the way down to number 1.
Yeah, number 12. So I've got my group of 6 team here. I got UNLV as my group of 6 representative. I think one of the things for UNLV this year, so you got Jackson Arnold, which I know everybody loves to clown about Jackson Arnold, and Jackson Arnold on his 3rd program. But I really like what UNLV has done over the last couple of years, especially year 2 with Dan Mullen. Like, I think they're just going to continue to get better. The one thing for the group of 6 teams, you always have to look at their schedule, because that is so important, because you have to find a way for them to win basically as many games as possible.
Yeah.
Because if they've got, like, I would love to put Hawaii in here. Hawaii was one that I was looking at, but Hawaii losing their top wide receiver and the schedule where they have Stanford and Cal, I just don't not see it happening. Although I do love the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors this year. You look at UNLV, obviously they have Cal in the middle of that schedule, and they also get the Cal at home, which I'm also very high on Cal. I just don't think Cal can get there this year, but JKS is a phenomenal quarterback. But the rest of their games, like, they're very manageable. Dan Mullen's going to have this team ready to go. I like what they're doing. Thank goodness Alex Orji is not starting. If Alex Orji was starting, that would be a terrible disaster. Not that Jackson Arnold is that much better as a passer, but I think he will do enough. And I think that what we saw from Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma and Auburn, just basically above where he should have been playing the whole time. I think the high school rankings is kind of example that sometimes high school rankings don't always pan out for what a player should be. I think that there's some intriguing players on here. Troy Stellato comes over from Kentucky, was at Clemson before that. Like, I think there's some intriguing players here that I could see making a big impact for UNLV. And I would have UNLV going 11-1 in the regular season, 12-1 winning the Mountain West. No real massive wins on this schedule, so I think they're going to end up being the team, but not being like a top 12 team technically.
Yeah, well, they've got a test right out of the gate, as we talked about, and we'll talk about that game more in just a second. I guess really towards the end of the episode. But Memphis comes to town, and I think you've got some stability in what UNLV has built so far under Dan Mullen. Obviously, Memphis is extremely talented, but so much new on both sides of the ball with Charles Huff coming over. That's a great early statement than UNLV has a chance to make. You mentioned the game at Hawaii. Is it the Ninth Island rivalry? Is that what it's called? That's a big game going to Hawaii, early test. And then you mentioned Cal's on that schedule as well. So there's absolutely a case and a simulation where I see UNLV going 11-1. There's also a case to be made, as I think you can make with all of these G6 teams, that it's like, 9-3, and a good,
quite possible,
a good season. But yeah, you fall off. I think for me this year, picking the G6 representative was harder than ever before, right? Because a couple of years ago, I think a lot of us were picking Boise. Last year, I think a lot of people were either picking James Madison or Tulane. We didn't expect that both would get in, but you had a lot of people riding that bandwagon. This year, I've heard one of, 6-7 teams. I mean, that New Mexico team that's on their schedule later, November 14th, Jack Lane, if he can be healthy, with Jason Eck just doing a tremendous job in Albuquerque. The Lobos are a team that's got some playoff hype. So it's exciting. I think you could talk to 6-7 different people and you would have 6 or 7 different G6 representatives. Walk me through kind of the rest of that first round. of teams. You've got UNLV at number 12. Who's kind of that 5 through 11 run?
Yeah. So that 5 through 11 here. So at 5, I got Texas. I have Texas going, I believe I have them going 11-1 in the regular season, then losing in the SEC championship game. After that, I've got Ohio State going 10-2, losing to Texas and losing to Oregon, beating Indiana. At 7, I've got BYU. I think BYU goes 11-1, loses Notre Dame in the regular season, but wins the Big 12. At 8, I've got Indiana. I think Indiana loses 2 games. I think they lose to Ohio State, and I think they lose to either USC or Washington towards the end of the year there.
Sure.
9, I've got Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I mean, I think they win 10 games. I think they beat Texas, but there's a plethora of different teams that could upset them in the SEC. Specifically, I think I have Georgia, or not, maybe it's not Georgia. I forget who actually I had written down here for them. Ole Miss was one of them that I do think that they are going to lose to, though.
Okay.
Then at 10, I've got Louisville. I've got Louisville losing to Ole Miss and basically running the table after that, and then losing to Miami in the ACC championship game. I just don't think the committee is going to respect that schedule enough that they're going to drop them when that second loss happens in the ACC championship game. And then at 11, I've got Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech loses to Houston early in the year, runs the table the rest of the way. Very similar to the Louisville schedule that, hey, there just really isn't anybody on the schedule, and you lose to BYU and you lose to Houston. Like, what do you have to show me at this point? So I've got Texas Tech as my 11 then.
It's interesting. I wonder if in that case where Tech makes it to Arlington but loses to BYU, I wonder if they'd be out of the playoff, because there's not much besides those 2 teams on the schedule. I mean, yes, they'll have TCU, who I think is going to be a solid team. They play them in the season finale. Arizona State, we'll see what the Sun Devils are like this year. I mean, there's Big 12 teams, right? When we went through the content series, we called it traffic on Fury Road. It's not necessarily driving down I-35, at 2 a.m. where there's just nobody around, but it's an easy schedule. And so you lose to Houston, that would be at home, by the way, and then you lose to BYU and essentially Lubbock East in the Metroplex. That would be a tough look for the Red Raiders. So I would be very uncomfy if I was an oil baron on Selection Sunday.
I mean, it was very similar to last year. That BYU was sitting there right on the fringe.
Yeah.
I think this year that just with how college football plays out, I think they'll get a little bit more benefit of the doubt. I think even though the committee will never fully admit it, I think year over year, subconsciously, there's some factors that will impact their decision. And I think Texas Tech making the playoff last year will help them. I think they'll do enough. But, I mean, I just as easily could see the Big 12 just getting 1 team in this year, just like how they did last year.
Right. Okay, well, there's one fan base that I know is absolutely holding their breath. Notre Dame Fighting Irish were not mentioned in those bottom 8 teams. Do you have Notre Dame in your top 4? Go ahead and give us 4 through 1.
Yeah, 4 through 1. So Notre Dame, you don't have to breathe much longer. I have Notre Dame at 4. I have Notre Dame losing to Miami, running the table the rest of the way. I have Georgia at 3, basically running the table. I had them losing to Alabama early in the year, but then winning the SEC. I have Oregon at 2, going undefeated. Possibly a loss in there. We'll see how that all plays out. But I have Miami going 1. I think Miami's just going to dominate everybody. I think Oregon might go undefeated, but I think the way Miami just wins games this year, they're going to pull the whole eye test, and Miami's just so good. They beat up on Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a top 5 team. We have them in the top 5 team. I think Miami goes as number 1. Just that offense is totally loaded. Oregon at 2, Georgia at 3, Notre Dame at 4. There's 3 of your conference champions, and then Notre Dame going 11-1 in the regular season, and beating BYU, who I have also as the top 10 team. So I think that'll get them a bye and put them in a great position.
Sure. I love it. It would make for a very exciting college football playoff. There's no doubt. We can quibble about how long it's going to take to get through this bracket all we want. Actually, I don't know that there's much quibbling. I think it's going to take too darn long to get from the end of the regular season all the way through the national championship, which, my joke has been that pitchers and catchers feel like they report the next day. But should make for an entertaining run and should give us a very worthy national champion. Before we get to your national championship, I'll give my 12-team field. I've got the other team on the other side of this week 0 matchup, the Memphis Tigers making the college football playoff. Again, I think there's so much talent in the G6. I could make the case for a number of different teams, but I look at the teams on paper and then add in their schedule. And I think Memphis really has a solid chance to do some damage to this schedule. Charles Huff is a very good coach. He brings over the best pieces from Southern Miss. The Southern Miss defense, certainly, that was much improved last year. I know they kind of lost steam towards the back half of that year and ended up just going 7-6. But if he can find a quarterback and they can run this offense, I like the roster that Memphis has put together. I've got Texas A&M at number 11. I think they go 10-2. I've got them beating Texas in Austin this year. It's past due for A&M to win one of these. And, we'll talk about Texas in just a sec. I had to throw that in a late addition to the run sheet because not even rumors, just the headlines coming out of Austin are not good right now.
Pretty right now.
It's not pretty. Right now. It's not pretty on the 40 acres. I've got USC in at number 10. My big storyline for USC was like, if not now, then when. They have a difficult schedule, but this team is built from top to bottom as one of the best rosters in the country. Their offense should be explosive. The defense should be very, very solid. And they lose Danton Lynn, but the talent is certainly there. Oklahoma, I've got in at number 9. I've got Notre Dame at number 8. I think they lose on the road to BYU. I've actually got them beating Miami, though. So 11-1 Notre Dame team. Ohio State, I've got in at number 7. Indiana's at number 6. I've got them losing in the Big Ten championship game. Miami comes in at number 5. I've got the Red Raiders and, just not a ton pushing them in at number 4. I do have the Texas Longhorns at number 3, Oregon Ducks at number 2, champions of the Big Ten, and then I've got Georgia three-peating in the SEC as my top seed. So there are a couple of teams, Jake, that we differ on when it comes to our list. Most notably, USC is left off your playoff roster. Teams like Ole Miss, LSU missing as well. What was kind of your determining factor when leaving out a USC or an Ole Miss specifically? Two teams that have a ton of playoff hype behind them this year.
Yeah, so USC, there's a lot to go with USC this year. Jane Mayava, obviously, come back as starting quarterback. To me, the wide receiver room, I mean, you see what you lose there. Mekhi Lemons, Kobe Lane, both are gone. You're replacing them with, players who have experience, but nobody that's quite like a Mekhi Lemon who, Biletnikoff award winner. Kobe Lane was fantastic. Waymon Jordan, I like him. I don't think Jaden Mayava, like if you go look at Lincoln Riley's quarterbacks that he's had in his tenure, I don't know if Jaden Mayava is in one of the best. I just don't know. When you talk about having Caleb Williams, you talk about having Baker Mayfield, you talk about having Kyler Murray, like those guys are all significantly better. Jaden Mayava to me is not a potential Heisman Trophy candidate. The loss of Deonton Lynn, like that's massive. He had made strides on that defensive side of the ball. I don't know what you're going to get with Gary Patterson as your defensive coordinator. To me, that was just a strange hire. A strange hire to go get Gary Patterson as your defensive coordinator. I think there are intriguing pieces on both sides of the ball. I think there are guys who are going to make plays. I'm just not sold that this is the team that Lincoln Riley gets into the playoff. He's had some of the best offenses in the country. And to me, I look at this one, I go, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This one is not, just doesn't do it for me. And I think there's 3 losses on this schedule for sure. I think they lose to Oregon for sure. Ohio State on Halloween is a very interesting one. That is one that's going to be keeping people up at night, especially in Columbus. But you have Indiana on there as well, Washington and Penn State. Penn State's going to be the whiteout game almost certainly.
Yep.
I think that you could easily look and go, hey, they lose to Indiana, Oregon, and Penn State. Even if they beat Ohio State 9-3, it's not going to get them in.
It's a fair point. I think the only thing that's really going, I say only thing, the main thing that's going in favor of USC in my mind, and the reason why I was able to get them into the playoff this year, is the home road splits. Talent aside, obviously. We've established very talented roster. but the home road splits are so favorable. They get Oregon, Washington, and Ohio State all at home. And I'm not saying that they win all three of those games, by no means would I claim that. Do we know what Penn State is this year? I think they're going to be a very good team. I certainly made the case that they have a real claim to a playoff spot if they can take care of business. I mean, their schedule is not very difficult. Rocco Becht is going to be so much better than what a lot of people, I think, just naturally expect by looking at the box score or seeing how Iowa State struggled at times last year. Like he had a shoulder issue all season long and still made 12 starts. So I think Penn State is going to be very, very good this year. Washington, a good team at home, not so good on the road. So that has to factor in as well.
I'll tell you what, though, that last game against UCLA could be very, very interesting. Bob Chesney does not lose. He is a winner. Yeah. And he brings he's doing what Kurt Signetti did and just bringing his JMU team to LA, except he actually has an established starter. I know everybody loves to clown Nico Iamaleava, but he's not a bad quarterback. Is he going to go win the Heisman? Is he going to be, a first round pick? No. But you know what? He could beat USC.
Yeah.
On one day, in one game, he could beat USC.
Well, so tell me this then. If you've got USC out, is Lincoln Riley still employed by the Trojans at the end of this year if they go 9-3 and miss the playoff?
I think 9-3 he's still in. That buyout is rumored to be astronomical.
Yeah.
Just massive. I think if he finishes with 7 wins, then he's done. I think 9-3 he keeps his job.
Yeah.
I think 7-5 you'll have Snoop Dogg and everybody else that's under the sun that's a former USC booster will be ready to buy him out. But I think 9-3 he'll keep his job. I think the schedule, the home road splits are good for them, but also from September 26th to November 14th. They play 5 legitimate college football playoff contenders.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include where I talked about UCLA at the end.
Right.
Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Indiana. The only one you look at that and go, that's a for sure win is Wisconsin. And that's on the road. And people are liking Luke Fickell this year. Yeah.
I'm one of them. Not to beat USC necessarily, but
Colton Joseph is being rumored a lot.
Yes.
That is I don't want to call it a murderer's row, but that's a very tough schedule. And I don't think Jaden Maiava is that guy to go and win most of those games.
Well, and I think to put a bow on it, I think it exposes truly how different of a league that we put Lincoln Riley in as compared to a Ryan Day or a Kurt Signetti, even a Dan Lanning in his own conference, right? I think if you change the colors of those jerseys, if you put different logos on the side of the helmet, and you give me that amount of talent, I think you and I are pretty, we kind of already have, just in not so many words, but we kind of have said, yes, difficult schedule for Indiana, for Ohio State, for Oregon, and we've got them all in. But USC is the team that we're leaving off, whether you believe in Maiava as you clearly don't or not. I think if it's a different coach with different colors and a different logo on the side of the helmet, we're going, tough schedule. That's going to be an uncomfy run, but 10-2 and they make the playoff. And to me, I think that's the most damning piece of evidence against Lincoln Riley is really at the Power 4 level. Maybe you could say that nobody's done less with more than Riley since he left Oklahoma.
Oh yeah. When you look at how they have been at USC, he's failed to reach the expectations that were set for him. And it's not that the expectations were astronomical. It's the fact that we are heading into the 3rd year of a 12-team playoff, and you haven't even been remotely close. You haven't even been in the discussion for making it. You got close one time in the 14 playoff, and you got boat raced by Utah to get yourself kicked out of it.
Yeah.
And you had a Heisman Trophy quarterback, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in college football in the last decade, and you got absolutely smoked in a physical game.
Yeah. 7-5 his last year. I'm with you. It's been puzzling for sure. It's as someone who has faded USC most years, I've collected a lot of proverbial gains there. The other
I
team
thoroughly enjoyed when Alex Grinch was there. I kept my Alex Grinch tracker
sure.
every week.
Sure.
Alex Grinch tracker of how bad the defenses were. Now he's a UCF, so tracker's still going.
Dude, I just put together my Big 12 predictions graphics. Haven't released them to the public yet. As you're listening to this, it has been out. So if you want to go look at that at 3 Tech Pod, you can find it. UCF, man, they're a team that I've just found myself believing in, even with Alex Grinch as the defensive coordinator. It's a very, very weird spot to be in. But last team that I want to talk about through our playoff field here, before we get into a couple storylines that we're looking forward to for this year and some week 0 games. You and I both have to address the elephant in the room with the Texas Longhorns. We both have them making it to the SEC championship game. We both have them losing in the SEC championship game. Is that correct?
I have them losing to Georgia in the SEC championship game.
Same. As of recording, the headlines out of Austin are not good. Arch Manning has really been struggling to complete the forward pass, quite honestly. The reports from Tyler Horka, from CJ Vogel, Orange Bloods Inside Texas, all the sources are that the offense is really struggling to move the football right now. And chief among those issues is Arch just not being a consistently accurate passer. We all know the treasure trove, the war chest that Texas opened to get guys like Cam Coleman at wide receiver, to get Hollywood Smothers at running back. The offensive line is, making the money of a small nation right now through NIL. And yet the offense just is getting whooped. I mean, I think a quote from Tyler Horka's article today, Saturday, the 22nd as we're recording this, was that it was belt to ass, defense over the offense. Like, when you read all of that, how quickly, if at all, are you backpedaling off of this Texas hype?
I am concerned for Texas. Yeah. I also, in my head, just thinking spot the ball. We saw Arch against Michigan last year have one of his best games of the year. Second half of the year, Arch played way better than he did the first half of the year.
Sure.
But Arch, the inconsistencies were still there. And this offense is locked, loaded, ready to go. You don't get Cam Coleman if you're not trying to win a national championship right now. You don't have Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown if you're not trying to win a national championship right now. You have Ryan Wingo. Like, you've got the talent on offense. And the defense, I mean, Rasheem Biles, but like Texas right now, they are losing the PR game. Anthony Smith getting dismissed 2 weeks before your first game. You have a parent of a freshman of Hayward Howard Sr. going on Twitter saying that he will expose all of the lies in the Texas program.
The politics. He used the word politics.
Yeah. You are losing the PR battle in every way possible because, I mean, Arch Manning, prodigal son of college football, he anointed a Heisman Trophy while he was a junior in high school. And God forbid that Peyton Manning's son is already going to be hyped up more than Arch Manning even
Marshall.
was.
Yeah. But
Arch Manning, I mean, no high school player has ever come in to college with more hype than Arch Manning. I would be interested to see if there was anybody else, but I mean, when you talk about, especially in the age of social media, who his parents are and who his uncles are, just the way they went about the recruiting, you didn't have social media and, but everybody else knew that, like, hey, Arch Manning's going to get clicks. I don't know if it's nothing against Arch Manning. He hasn't done anything that's been like, hey, look at me, I'm so great. But I mean,
right.
This Texas program right now, they need a football game to happen desperately. And like, they need this first game against Texas State to happen where Arch Manning just goes out and, like, first play, just airs it out to Cam Coleman, just lock and load for 75 yards and shut up the rest of the fan base and shut up the rest of the country. Because, I mean, if Arch Manning goes out and has a game like, I think it was Sam Houston State last year, or UTEP, where he had like less than 50% completion and like looked pretty bad, I mean, the message boards for Texas are going to be on fire. Like, going to be on absolute fire that we went out and spent millions and millions of dollars and we have a quarterback who can't complete a forward pass right now.
Yeah. And, I think the other side of the coin is this is just camp, right? It's not an actual game, as you said. Spot the ball. Let's see what happens in the 12 games that actually count towards something.
Spin zone. The defense is just that good.
Also that, listen, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, I've been there, right? No, it's not the offense. It's just we have an all-world defense. Yeah, concerning though when you hear that Dia Bell, the freshman, is putting up some awesome numbers, and Arch is not. But I to close the loop on that, I'm also concerned. It's too late to backpedal in my mind, right? Like this Texas team, I think Texas will figure it out at quarterback. If it's not Arch, they've got a really talented quarterback room, and you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, to a much lesser extent, you look at what happened at well, I was going to say at Pitt. To a much larger extent, you look at what happened at Ole Miss. Austin Simmons is a starter, right? And everybody's saying, oh, this team's going to win 9-10 games, and this is a playoff threat. He goes down due to injury, and a little guy named Trinidad Chambliss from Ferris State, D2, steps up and now might be the best quarterback in college football. So you never know what can happen when QB1 goes down or gets pulled. The rest of this Longhorn team, though, to your point, is just so talented, man. Like their starters are gross. We'll see if they have the depth. That was something that, as Sark has been on this merry-go-round of PR nightmares all offseason, that was something they kind of outed was, we had to basically cut depth guys because we needed the money to pay starters. I wonder what happens in November when Texas is, fighting the injury bug and guys are tired and you need fresh pass rushers on third down. Like, do you have the horses? Because you spent so much on the starters. All of that, I don't know. We'll see. Certainly interesting to watch.
Last year, they won games in spite of Arch Manning. Like, they beat Kentucky in one of the ugliest games of the year. It was
horrendous.
Year. Yeah. They went to overtime against Kentucky in one of the ugliest games of the year last year. So, they're more talented than they were last year. And if you can win games last year in spite of Arch Manning, who was 12 of 27 for 132 yards against Kentucky, who was firing Mark Stoops any day at that point, I think they'll be fine. Cam Coleman's used to not playing with a real quarterback anyways. So, what's different for him at Texas? So he didn't have a real quarterback at Auburn. So it's just like home for him.
That's right. Well, great discussion there. Let's get to a couple of storylines that we're excited about for the 2026 season. This segment brought to you by Redwater Hats. They are the official hat wear of the 3 Tech Pod. We've got a bunch of really swell lids. I'm wearing one of them right now. We've got more in the back as well. And I tell you what, they've been really, really popular over on our social media. If you would like to find your way to get one of these, we'd love if you'd message us. We're working with Redwater to come up with our own line and hopefully be able to disseminate those out to the Jimmies and Joes. So thank you to Jackson, the boys over at Redwater Hats. Find them at redwaterhats.com for custom lids or Jimmy and Joe content. Jake, talk to me about a couple of things that get you fired up for this season. Obviously, it's college football. Obviously, we have our own teams that we root for and championship aspirations. But as a college football fan, what gets the juices flowing for you as we get ready to kick off?
I want to see Lane Kiffin with 7 private security guards when he goes to Ole Miss and goes to Oxford in a couple weeks.
3, yeah.
I cannot wait to see that. That is one of the most anticipated games of the last couple of years, just because of the off seasons, the storylines. Lane Kiffin leaving for a playoff team, an Ole Miss team that nearly went to the national championship, and Ole Miss or Lane Kiffin trying to take every coordinator and coach, saying if you're not on this plane, you're not coaching at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is one of the most intriguing things. I want to see. I know Miami's talented, but I want to see if it is a situation where it's almost too much talent. They don't know how to function. Like Cooper Barkate comes over. Cooper Barkate was the number 1 at Duke, but now you got Malachi Toney, and Mark Fletcher was very inconsistent during the regular season last year. There were games where he rushed for 20 yards, but then in the playoffs he goes absolutely nuts. Is that Mark Fletcher being right time, right place, and just took advantage of it, or is Mark Fletcher taking the next step and becoming that every down back where he was in the playoff? The Big 12, that whole whatever.
Yeah.
Oklahoma State, can Drew Mestemaker and Eric Morris get it going? Can they be a 7 or 8 win team? People are talking about a playoff team. I think that defense is not going to be able to do enough. And we're going to learn out real fast when they play Oregon in week 2 if that defense is going to be good, because that defense at North Texas was wishy-washy, sometimes good, sometimes bad, giving up 70 points to USF. And sometimes
average defense.
Cal is my sleeper for this year.
Sure.
If Cal can find a way to run the football, because they were terrible at running the football last year, but they have some dudes out there. Ian Strong coming from Rutgers over to Cal at wide receiver. Like, JKS has some weapons this year. I'm excited to see. I don't think Cal is going to be a playoff team, but I have talked myself into 9-3 Cal.
Sure. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think 8-9 wins absolutely on the table, given the offense. You mentioned Ian Strong coming over. Schedule, they get some. The travel is always going to be the wild card, just because you don't know how a team's going to react week in, week out to flying across the country for half of your conference games. They've got SMU on the schedule this year. Cal is a fascinating team. Without a doubt, Tosh Lupoy's first year is one of my major headlines as well. How about the Florida Gators? Talk about another dark horse that people are hyping up. The Florida Gators, we'll see what Aaron Philo has in the tank, assuming he's going to be QB1. Buster Faulkner, the offensive coordinator from Georgia Tech, comes over. Team looks like they're going to be much more competent on that side of the ball than they were at any point under the Billy Napier administration, right? I think there's a juice around Florida that we haven't seen in a couple years. The schedule is not murderer's row, at least not to the extent that it was the last 2 seasons. And so similar to Cal, I don't have them as a playoff team, but I absolutely could see a world where they get to 8-9 wins and kind of get the boys in Gainesville fired up once again. I'm fascinated to see how the Big Ten SEC bickering goes this year, right? Because when I was doing my playoff projections, I could certainly make a case that 4 or 5 teams from the Big Ten make it in. I could also do the same if the cards fell right for the SEC. And, the Big Ten has won 3 straight national championships. And when it comes down to can they get to that 4th, I think a lot of people look at Georgia and Texas from the SEC. Notre Dame obviously is an independent, but Georgia and Texas are the 2 favorites that I see on a lot of other boards for a team that can stop Oregon or can stop Ohio State or Indiana from repeating. The SEC's got to step up. Georgia a couple years ago got whipped physically by Notre Dame. That was new. That was something that a lot of us didn't expect, right? Ole Miss was right there. They're a drive away from playing for a national championship last year and looked really good.
They were possibly a pass interference call away from having the ball at the 1-yard line and going for it.
Exactly. So, can Ole Miss wrangle some of that magic, or was that kind of a one-time thing? I think those are all threads that I look forward to pulling on this year. Can Lane Kiffin get LSU into the college football playoff, right? There's a lot of moving parts in Baton Rouge and a lot of hype, but also there's a lot of details that they've got to get right to go to the 12-team playoff this year. So, yeah, I think that is obviously as a professional Twitter monitor, I'm excited to kind of watch that all season long.
Well, week 2, I mean, you've got Ohio State and Michigan playing Texas and Oklahoma, which just somehow feels right, having 2 of the biggest rivals play each other. I actually saw there was some tweet where they wanted to form a union, Ohio State and Oklahoma fans, Texas and Michigan fans, be able to root together that same weekend. And I think that's going to tell us a lot about the Big Ten SEC, because if Michigan somehow beats Oklahoma, I mean, that puts Oklahoma's playoff chances on life support real quick, taking an out-of-conference loss. Ohio State, I think a lot of us people are expecting Texas to win that game, especially down in Austin. But if Michigan beats Oklahoma, all of a sudden we're talking about a playoff Michigan team and Kyle Whittingham in year 1. Because after that, I mean, they have Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State. You find a way to go 10-2 with that schedule, the committee will put you in.
Sure. I'm realizing as I look back at my notes here, we went through the playoff team. We didn't give our national championship pick. So let's right that wrong very quickly before we jump into a couple of week 0 games. Jake, you gave your 12-team playoff, Miami, Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, BYU, Indiana, Oklahoma, Louisville, Texas Tech, UNLV. Who makes it to your national championship game? Who hoists the trophy in Las Vegas?
I have a regular season rematch. I have Notre Dame beating Miami in the national championship this year.
Love that. Love that. I'm going to go with Notre Dame also making it to the national championship, but I'm going to believe in the year of the duck, baby. I'm going to go with Oregon. I'm going to say Dan Lanning gets it done. I just think this Oregon team is different. And I've heard it from USC fans. I've heard it from Washington fans over on social media. Yeah, they're always talented. What makes this year different? It's never happened until it does, right? And I'm picking this year to be the year that it does. But fascinating that we both have Notre Dame right there again. You've obviously got them as their champion. I've got them as their runner-up. Quickly, like in a sentence or two, what does Notre Dame do better than anybody else in the country?
That defense might be the very best. I mean, you probably have the best secondary player in the entire country. Defensive line, the linebackers are just solid. Like they're just everywhere on that defense. You look and go, yeah, that's pretty good. And I think in the trenches, they have realized that to be good, you have to win in the trenches, and they have bulked up on the offensive line and defensive line. Wide receivers, I'm interested. Jaden Greathouse and company, can he get healthy this year? Can he be an impact factor? I'm not worried about the running back position. I think they'll be fine.
There you go. All right, week 0 picks. We'll just do these very quickly. Just got 3 games to talk about. North Carolina and TCU kicking off the college football season for the FBS, at least, at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. The Aer Lingus Classic. We know that, Jake, whoever wins this game, typically their season goes okay. Whoever loses this game might as well just pack it up before week 1 even starts. The Dublin curse, for whatever reason, has been alive and well. Are you surprised that TCU, as of time of recording, is only a 7.5 point favorite, given just the disaster class that's been on display in Chapel Hill?
Yeah, I just saw that it's 7.5, and that feels crazy low to me.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if there's the uncertainty because TCU, obviously, the new quarterback brings over, I forget his name, out of Harvard.
Jaden Craig.
Yep, Jaden Craig. And I mean, North Carolina, has there been anything good come out of Bill Belichick's era in North Carolina?
No, not a thing.
So, I mean, if you want my pick, TCU, and I would triple that spread and feel good with it.
Yeah, I feel like TCU, too many people are probably sleeping on Craig coming over from Harvard, not well known to the college football casuals.
Harvard's all-time career leader in passing yards.
I was going to say, help them win or at least share back-to-back Ivy League titles. I think they've shared 3 in a row. He was a part of the last 2. I'm very confident in TCU. I've got them winning 9 games this year. I think that the Horned Frogs are going to be really, really solid. I like Andy Avalos at defensive coordinator, and I just don't know. I don't know what I'm hanging my hat on, quite honestly, with North Carolina. Billy Edwards Jr. is a quarterback for the Tar Heels. I think a lot of people were surprised after the rumors were that Miles O'Neill, the Texas A&M transfer, was going to win that job. Billy Edwards, he got hurt last year at Wisconsin. We haven't seen him in a while. He was a fine quarterback before that at Maryland, right? Not enough.
Billy Edwards
not enough for me.
He plays quarterback. I can confirm that. That's about all I can confirm after that.
Now, I think the only thing that makes me scared of this line is that these Dublin games very rarely go according to plan, right? It seems like there's an upset. I think there was an upset just about every single year except for last year when we had Farmageddon, and then that was a sloppy, ugly game. There was some rain
Navy
involved.
And Notre Dame then. Navy whooped up on, or Notre Dame whooped up on Navy a couple years ago.
Yeah. So other than that, I would take TCU in these points pretty comfortably. But weird spot. 2:30 later that afternoon, we've got NC State and Virginia. I mentioned this was supposed to be in Brazil. Now it's in Charlottesville. The Who's 5.5 point favorites after a breakout season last year under Tony Elliott. They've got Bo Prabula at quarterback after Chandler Morris ran out of eligibility. On the NC State side, it's the Dave Doran and CJ Bailey experience once again. Trey talked me into the offense being pretty good. I don't know what I'm getting with this NC State defense, though, at least not on a week-to-week basis, right? Because last year, at times they'd show up and look like they could win the ACC. At other times, it looked like they didn't really know what they were doing. So 5.5 point favorite are the Virginia Cavaliers. Which side are you leaning there?
I'm going to take Virginia on this one. Bo Prabula, I think, is good enough. I do like CJ Bailey. Bailey more. But, I mean, Hollywood Smothers is gone. Noah Rogers goes over to Alabama. I think Trey might be right. This offense might be good, but I just feel better about Tony Elliott as a head coach. Dave Doran, I mean, he's basically eternally 8-4, 7-5.
Yeah.
Like we have yet to ever see NC State take that next jump, and I think Virginia gets it done early. We've seen Tony Elliott make that jump. I think Bo Prabula is going to be good enough. He's not the most talented passer, but he is athletic and he can run. And I will take Virginia on this game.
Just your pick, because I'm interested in it. Hawaii at Stanford, 6:00 that night in the Central Time Zone on ACC Network. Right now, the Cardinal are 5.5-point favorites. Davita Pritchard's first game as head coach. I really like the Rainbow Warriors. I know they're going on the road, but this Hawaii team is really good.
I love Micah Alejandro, and I think, I mean, he got injured a little bit last year, but a healthy him, especially week one, he should be healthy. I like what they're going to do. Like I said earlier, I think Hawaii could be a potential playoff team, just depending on how the season plays out for them. I think it's just a little bit too difficult for them overall with the schedule, but I like Hawaii in this game. I love Hawaii in this game.
Yeah, step one in a 10-step process for me and the Rainbow Warriors this year. I think Hawaii can get to 10 wins. I think they're right there. At least I think they're going to be mentioned as a playoff dark horse for a good chunk of this season. I've got them beating the Cardinal on the road as well. And then finally, the nightcap. You better believe we're staying up for this one. Memphis at UNLV from Las Vegas. The Run Reps, 5.5-point favorites as of right now. A lot of 5.5-point lines in this week 0 spread. You've obviously picked UNLV to be your playoff team from the G6. I've picked Memphis. So I can guess which team we're picking to win this. Really, the only question left is, are you taking UNLV to cover the spread?
UNLV's at home. I'll take them to cover the spread, not confidently.
Yeah.
Might be a backdoor cover, might be a late score to kind of put this out of reach, but I'll take them to cover the spread. If they're going to make the playoff, I feel like they should probably cover a 5.5-point spread in week one.
There's going to be a lot of athletes on both sides. We don't know what we're going to get from the quarterbacks in this one. Jackson Arnold, obviously for UNLV, should have the highest ceiling.
Alex Orji might play for all we know.
Yeah, that's no thanks there. I don't know if Memphis has named a quarterback between Aaron Nolan and Marcus Stokes yet. I think as I had last seen, Marcus Stokes, the West Florida transfer, was leading that battle, but I don't know if Memphis has named a quarterback yet. I'll take Memphis to cover. Obviously, I'm gonna pick them to win that game. I'm higher on Memphis as a roster, but I will say this: Dan Mullen at home, I don't love betting against him there. I would not be shocked if the Runner Rebs were able to win this game. And with that, Jake, we've set the stage for week 0 for the rest of the college football season. You've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish winning. I've got the Oregon Ducks winning. We would love to know from the Jimmies and the Joes who your national championship pick. And Jake, for those that are living under a rock, haven't interacted with you guys on Twitter yet, where can they find your good work, sir?
At Walk On Redshirts, the walkonredshirts.com. Just type in Walk On Redshirts. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere you get your content.
Awesome. All right. Well, we really appreciate you stopping by the show. For the Jimmies and Joes who stuck around to the end, thank you guys as well. Our interview with Brett Ciancia will also be up. I think it's going to be up as this goes live. So make sure you check on that. Pick Six Previews, the most accurate college football magazine over the last, feels like a decade now. He's really, really good at what he does. So he's going to help us get the stage set for college football as well. But the next time that you hear from me, college football will have been played. We will have box scores, final results. So excited that we made it. Jake, thanks for hanging out with us, and excited to do the rest of the season with you guys as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Well, for Jake, I'm Mitch. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Until next time, so long, everybody.